doing the homework on a piece of paper, not on Big Ideas Online. And yes, you can use a pen. You can use any color that you want. Okay, so you're going to upload a picture of the notes tomorrow, and I'll tell you, we'll do it in class. And then you're going to also upload a picture of the homework. Okay, and your homework is going to look like this. I did this for my algebra class. Okay, so on a separate piece of paper, you put your name on it, like you're used to putting your name on it. Homework number 1, you write what the assignment is. The highlighting is just because they didn't know what page it was on. You don't have to highlight the page number. And then you write the problem and you solve it. You write the problem and you solve it. So that's what your homework's going to look like. You're going to take a picture and then I'm going to look at it. Sounds good? Okay, so let's get to our notes today. We have a few examples. Okay, so label this Math Notes 1. And this is going to be solving equations. If you're not in your graph paper notebook, you should put the date so that you can find it later if the pieces of paper are all in random spots. Okay, and then we have to go find it. Okay, so let's start with our first example. And we are set. Okay, I have another class that's the same as yours. I have second period math. Oh, and you guys do need to come to tutorials for my class. Okay, so you need to come to tutorial tomorrow during 4th period. It's not our normal tutorial. It's a required tutorial. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that you do come to that tomorrow. And that's where I'm going to show you how to upload the homework. Because we don't have an 80-minute class tomorrow. We only have a 25-minute class during what they're calling the tutorial. Okay, so this is example number 1. Okay, and let me make sure I can see the chat screen. So if you guys type anything, I can answer you. Okay. Yes, you boxed the answers. Yes. Okay, so this is example 1. So example 1 is 2a plus 6 equals negative 10. Okay, so type what you think I should do for the first step. Okay, so type what you think we should do for the first step. Yep, so minus 6, those cancel, you get 2a equals, and this is down 10, down 6. So what do you feel like down 10, down 6 would be? Down 16, I agree. This is like more down, so down 16. And then how do you get rid of the, I like the color for digits. How do you get rid of the 2? How do you get rid of the 2? You divide both sides by 2. And then you get a equals negative 8. And then that's the answer. And your homework should look like our notes. Basically, the homework problems should look like the notes. So the same number of steps we show. Make sure you turn off your make sure you mute as well. Otherwise, your name will show up in the YouTube video on the right instead of my face, which I don't mind because I don't really like my face up all the time. But I think it helps to learning from a person. So I think it helps. It's more pleasant when there's a person on the side talking to you. Okay, now this is one we don't usually see too much in math. What do you think? What do you think we should do? And it's okay to be wrong. Don't worry, nobody's going to attack you. So if you're wrong, it's just nice to be able to answer questions. What do you think? So you can say, I agree, I disagree, but be nice. Definitely be nice. Oh, and our class ends at 10:54. Okay. Make sure. Like terms, exactly. So let's put, in your notes, let's write combined like terms. Okay, but in your homework, you wouldn't have to write combined like terms. Okay, what's in front of the X? What's in front of the X? What do you think? That's a good point. Which one's in front of that X, though? The plain X, this one right here. Yeah, and you're right. There's lots of numbers. I didn't specify which X. I'm going to change that. I'm going to put a 1 in the front in red pen. And then what do we get? What is, oh, and somebody said 7. So is that right? I was like, where did the 7 come from? Actually, 7's the next step, isn't it? Yeah, 7x. Okay, so 7x equals negative 21. And then what do I do next? What do I do next? Divide by 7. I agree. And then I get x equals -3. Cool. Example 3. Usually we'll have a little more time and not be speeding through, but we got to make sure that we finish this so that you're prepared to do your homework. And we'll talk about class rules and stuff tomorrow. You know, you guys are juniors and seniors, you know, just do your homework, right? Do your homework, come to class, and then we'll try to figure out like uploading and things like that. You know, we'll definitely want to do that stuff as well, but we'll figure it out later. Not in our 36 minutes where you have to do homework, so we got to have some stuff. Okay, example 3 is 30 equals -2 parentheses y plus 6. Okay, so what do you think? What should we do? I agree. Distribute, and distribute means multiply, right? So this is distribute. And that means what? Multiply? Okay. Okay, so -2y, and then when you're multiplying and dividing, if you have the same sign, it's plus, and if you have opposite signs, it's minus. So -2 times 6 is actually -12. Okay, now the y is on the wrong side, so that looks funny. How do you feel like you would get y by itself? Yes, actually, 2 wrongs make a right when you're multiplying or dividing, but when you're adding, 2 wrongs make a wrong. So we got to keep doing that. That's cool. Okay, so add 12. Add 12. So that's 42 equals -2y. Then what? Okay, then what? Okay, agree. So divide. So see, right now I'm going back to my express chat counter. Okay, and I'm throwing your data in. And I'm seeing, oh, look at that. Cool. Okay, Brian, you've only said hello, so you got to comment a little more, okay? And Ethan, you too. You got to comment a little more. Leslie, a little more. Michael, you only said one thing so far. Okay, so you got to make sure you're typing some answers, okay? And then that was just like a minute ago, so I know some of you are typing more stuff in. Okay, so those of you who I said haven't been chatting much, you got to make sure you start chatting, okay? So you got to start answering some of my questions. Okay, so y equals, and actually it is important that you put the y on the right side first. Okay, so don't switch sides yet. -21. And then a new step, y equals -21. Okay, and I'm going to show you, this is future / past. You've seen this before. Is if you had this and you switched them around, what else do you have to do? Right? So switching things around is actually serious business. Yeah, you have to change the sign. So I don't want you to just be used to switching signs randomly in equations because it's going to hurt you in inequalities. Okay, and if you haven't answered many questions, you want to start typing some stuff, okay? So start typing some stuff that's relevant to the examples that we're doing. Okay, okay, so example 4. I had my brother write this express chat counter program for me. Where it counts the chats of what you put, is because during summer school, some students would fall asleep and I didn't know. So, okay, so example 4, and I believe there's 6 examples for us today. So we don't have too many. One thing that's nice is since you're 4th period, I will have already done the examples in 2nd period, and then we'll know how many there are. So 3x plus 6 equals -5x plus 22. Now, is this a like term problem? I feel like it's like terms, but I have a slight problem. I call this my door. Are the x's on the same side? So let's write a little note. So x's, are they on the same side? Or are the x's on opposite sides? Now this you guys haven't seen too much because you were in geometry last year. Yeah, they're on opposite sides. So let me write. If they're on the same side, you do like terms. And this, you do have to write the stuff I write down in your notes on the left side, but you don't have to write it in the homework. So same side, you do like terms, but if they're opposite sides, you add the opposite to move. Okay, so I'm going to move the negative 5x. So opposite sides, you're going to add the opposite to move. Okay, so opposite sides, opposite to move. So I want to move the negative 5x. So how do I move the negative 5x? So I want to move this one. How do I move it to the other side? Yes, I add it. So I add 5x, and then you're going to put it under its like term. So it is like terms, but you have to move it before you have the like terms. Okay, so that's 8x plus 6 equals 22. Okay, now what do we do? So what do we do next? Subtract 6, 8x, 16. And then I'm getting my other color out. So it'll be nice to have a second color and a blue highlighter, like 2 highlighters, a yellow and another color. Because I found during distance learning, if I highlight things, it's easier for you to see. And it's nice to have any color. It doesn't have to be red. But it makes more sense when you're doing this step. So x equals 2. And my goal for you guys is to teach you in a way that's going to help you be successful in college math. So you don't have to take too many college math classes. You take it, you're done, that's it. And make sure you qualify for college. Okay, so most of you are seniors, and then I have some juniors here also that were in double period. And we want to make sure that you guys are prepared because you've made it this far. This is like the last class that you need for entrance into college. And then taking past Algebra 2 would be just a bonus. But really, this is the class, you're in the right class. As a senior, you're in perfect shape. Okay, but we got to make sure that we get you through the class. Okay, so now examples 5 and 6 have fractions. So they're kind of stressful. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to do them. And we have 13 minutes left of class, so we'll be fine. Okay, and then there's not too many fractions in our class in general. I usually stay away from fractions, but I didn't make up these homework questions. So that's why there's fractions. So I almost never have fractions in my class. Because I want to make sure that when you guys are in college, if you get a college professor who lets you use a calculator or a professor who doesn't let you use a calculator, you're prepared for both. So mostly my class will be non-calculator. So you want to try to do it without a calculator. You know, it's like if you were spelling the word group, it's better if you know how to spell it than you have to look it up in the dictionary, but you can look it up in the dictionary. It just takes longer. So we're going to try to get proficient in not using a calculator. And then you can go either way. You can use a calculator if you need to check it or for a test or something like that, but regular homework is better. Okay, so the fractions make you feel hysterical. Usually people feel hysterical with fractions. So what we're going to do is step number 1, we're going to get rid of the fractions. Okay, so I'm going to have you write this twice. The main reason I'm having you write it twice is because some of you aren't going to have 2 colors today. Once everyone has 2 colors, we wouldn't have to write it twice. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply by 7. Okay, you're going to multiply each one by 7. Okay, you're going to multiply each one by 7. Now, what's nice is when you multiply by 7, it cancels out the denominator. So you're not going to even have a fraction anymore. Okay, this one's going to cancel out its denominator. And then we're going to have a pretty question with no fractions. 2x minus 21 equals 5x plus 42. So math teachers usually, when you see fractions as a math teacher, you're like, okay, how can I get rid of the fraction? Like that's your first plan, you know, as a math teacher. So as a student, that should be the same case. Now, if you tape it in and you let PhotoMath solve it for you, PhotoMath is just solves it in crazy ways. So I'll know. So make sure you're not using PhotoMath. I'd rather have you make mistakes in the homework and I see what errors you make and then you learn from them for the test. My homeworks are based on whether you're showing your steps and you're doing every question. It's not whether or not you get the answers right. So if you do not get the answers right, you likely will still get full credit in your homework. If you copy from PhotoMath, you won't. You'll get an big. Okay, PhotoMath, Google, whatever the online stuff is. Okay, so make sure you show your work, and if you make mistakes, I can find your errors, and you can find your errors, and then you'll know where you make your errors, and then you won't make the same errors. Okay, so now there's no fractions. What do you think? The 2x and the 5x, same side or opposite sides? Opposite. Okay, so I need to add the opposite to move. I love this. I love how it's just like everybody's okay, that's so exciting. Okay, I'm glad my brother wrote the express chat counter though, because during summer school, you guys, I only had 9 students. So I could tell who was answering. But with you guys, I mean, we have like over 30 students, so it'll be very cool. Okay, so I'm going to move this one. I like to move my letters on the right because I don't like them on the right. I'm going to move it over here. You move it by adding the opposite, and you get 0. Okay, and then type what you get for the next step. So what's my next step? Not my next step, but what should I write? What else should I write? Okay, how about the whole line? What do we think? John, Josh, Xavier, they wrote the same thing, right? Okay, I agree. Now, one thing in summer school, some people forgot to write their steps on the paper because they were writing them in the chat so much, they forgot to write them on the paper. So make sure you do write them on the paper too. I'm going to check notes and give you 5 points for notes every day. You're going to get 5 points for uploading your notes every day and 5 points for homework. So homework and notes are equal, actually. Equal 63. Okay, what's my next step? And divide by what? Divide by what? -3. Okay. Okay, I love that. Okay, so and then I keep the chats later too, so that if I need to look through them. Of course, they don't make much sense. It's like -3, -3x. There's all these answers, but it doesn't have the questions. So. Anyway, so this is 3 into 63. And again, what if my college professor does not let me use a calculator? I don't need them to send me back to pre-algebra. So elementary school math, I'm going to have to practice some division. Okay, so 3 times blank equals 6. That'd be 2. Then you multiply those two. Subtract. Bring down. And then you try to think again. 3 into 3 is 1. Then you multiply. 3, 0. Okay, so -21. Negative because it's opposite signs. Opposite signs when you are dividing is a negative. There we go. Cool. Okay, so we have one more question, one more example. Okay, one more example. And let me have you guys all type in ready. If you're ready for example 6, meaning I'm not going too fast, meaning you finished writing example 5, because example 5 was kind of complicated. So type in ready if you're ready. And this will get you an extra chat one, right? Okay, so type in ready if you're ready, or if you're not ready, you can type in not ready. Okay. I just want to see if people are answering me. It's kind of fun. It's like real class, right? It's real class, but typing instead. Okay, so type ready if you're ready. I'm going to go back, and in my chat counter, I could just check what you guys typed since I asked you to type ready. So let's see if we have anybody not ready. Asia, you did not type ready yet. Dylan, oh, he's not here. Joseph's not here. Everybody typed ready. Cool. That's so exciting. Pretty much everybody typed it at 10:47. That's cool. Oh, and Asia, I think, was another person who's not in my class anymore. Okay, you guys are awesome. Okay. Now, it's a little chaotic, but I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun way to do back here. And then I'll be nice when I meet you in person. Oops. I'm thinking that it would be nice if your avatar was your picture, so that if I looked at your avatar, then I would know what you look like. But I think we'll do video in the first 5 minutes, and hopefully that will help me know your names. Okay, so example 6. Last example. Now, the last example is a little harder than this one. It's on the same topic. Okay, let me just find it. My example 6. Okay, so 2/3 x plus 4/5 equals 1 minus 2/5 x. And we're going to write it twice just because some of you won't have a different color today. I'm so glad we have 15 minutes between each class during the 80-minute period, the 80-minute days, the block days, because 10 minutes just is not enough to like finish the old class and get to the new class, and kind of crazy. But 15 minutes I think will help. Okay, so write yourself a note over here to remove fractions. So write this out. I'll be looking for this in your notes. To remove fractions, multiply by common denominator. Okay, now we won't see questions like this after chapter 1 in our class, but you might see it in college. Okay, so it's important to have it somewhere so you know what to do. Okay, multiply by the common denominator. Okay, so the common denominator of 3 and 5. Homework and notes are going to be on separate pieces of paper. Otherwise, yeah. So notes and homework on separate pieces of paper. Okay, 15. So you're going to multiply by 15, 15, 15, 15. Okay, then this cancels, right? 3 into 15 is 5. And then you multiply. So it's 5 times 2x, which is 10x. And then 5 into 15 is 3. And then that's plus 12. And that's 3 minus 6x. And of course you can do it with the fractions, but the fractions make people like almost your brain shuts down sometimes. It's like you're frozen. You're like, oh, dang, fractions, what am I going to do? Right? So if you get rid of them, then your brain works better. Keeping the fractions throughout the question makes it harder to solve it. The 15 came from the 3 and the 5. Okay, so the 3 and the 5, like imagine you had a 1/3 and a 1/5 back to like maybe 6th grade, and they said, what's the common denominator? And you had to think of the 3 and the 5, and the common denominator would be 15. And then, right, you could make them both into 15s like this, right? And then you had to change them. Yeah, common denominators are one of the hardest things in math, and that's why we freeze. Honestly, that's why we freeze. So the 3 and the 5, you can just multiply them together, but sometimes the numbers get too big. But the ones in the homework are pretty nice, and the ones on the test are nice. They're not crazy. Like one's 18 and one's 12, and you're like, what's the common denominator? And we don't know. So, and I'll teach you a nice Algebra 2 way to do common denominators when we get there, and you'll like it way better than the elementary school way. Okay, so add 6x, right? Add 6x to both sides. 16x plus 12 equals 15. Minus 12, 16x equals 3. Usually this would mean you did something wrong in my class, because usually my answers aren't fractions. But this was written, this first couple days worksheet was not written by me. It was from an old textbook, and these are not my questions. So I usually don't pick questions that have fraction answers. Let's write reduce if possible. Okay, reduce if possible. And you can't reduce, so then that's the answer. Okay. What do you think? Good question. This is up 15, down 12. There's more ups. So it is positive 3. But that's always a good question to ask, because a lot of times you'll drop the negative. The way I grade tests is I grade based on steps you got right and steps you got wrong. So I don't grade just based on your final answer. So, I mean, if your answer was, 17/16, I don't just mark it wrong. I find out where you made your error. And if the only error you made is, say up here, say right here, you multiply those and you got 7, right? 4 times 3 and you got 7, then I only take off like 1 point out of 6 points. So I grade tests based on partial credit. And then my homework is graded on completion and effort. So you show the problem, you write the steps, and that gives you the points, whether or not you get the answer right. Okay, so that's how I grade. And then we're gonna do like participation points too, because I like that you guys are answering the questions throughout. I'm gonna stop this video, the recording, and then I'll be able to